so this thing is like Blink-182 announced a reunion tour, 37-year-olds, and it's
Yeah.
Nick Swanson's running. I'm just concerned because like they released the stage setup,
Yeah.
and it just looks too small. So I'm like, this is a lot of this is like a whole
at that festival.
A whole weekend festival in one day.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't see this.
And is it in Vegas proper? Like it's not out.
Yeah, it's like down the street from the Strip.
There can't be that much room out there to do shit.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm curious as to how far it is from where the shooting happened.
I mean, the shooting happened at the Strip, didn't it? I mean, it's one of the hotels off of the Strip.
Yeah, but I mean, those are really high up, so you could get a view, like probably far away.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna cut this out of the recording.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Ready. Welcome to the Cine-Scoots podcast.
Long time no see, my friend.
Long time no see. We are here to talk about Werewolf by
Night.
Which, funny enough, the whole time I was like, what's this guy's actual like superhero name?
It's Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought it was something else.
Yeah.
Like maybe just like Werewolf. But I was like, that's too simple.
The whole time I was watching the movie, and I was like, do I know this actor? And the answer was no. I don't think I know this actor.
He's in a couple of Mexican movies. He's in Coco.
Haven't seen Coco.
It's okay. I much prefer
Encanto?
Book of Life. Book of Life. But he's in like Tu Mamá También. I know he was in.
We watch that every night at home.
You never seen Tu Mamá?
No, I haven't.
I would assume by now that Ro would
have made me see Tu Mamá También.
It feels like it's a movie that's right up her alley.
I mean, here we still haven't finished The Phantom Menace.
God damn.
So.
You went through the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy and you haven't.
Well, I watched that by myself.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you got through the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Well, we would watch a Star Wars movie. It would take us 2 sessions to like watch the whole movie.
God damn.
Right. She loved the OT, and then like I could tell she was not having it as much as in Phantom Menace. And then later she's like, I think I like the other ones better. And I was like, a lot of people share that.
Well, back to Werewolf.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one because it's the first of its kind.
Yeah.
It's Marvel's first special feature.
Yes.
Right. It's not a TV show.
It's not a
short.
Yeah. It's not a what if type thing.
It's not a what if. This is MCU proper.
Yep.
But it's only 52-ish minutes long.
Yeah. And it's got a great Marvel opening.
Yeah, the black and white, the lightning, and then the claws.
And then the change of the tunes slightly. Like,
yeah,
I loved it.
It's nice. Yeah. I love when Marvel does a new variation on their intro.
Yeah.
And while I do love what they've landed on with the Marvel fanfare and everything, I did enjoy having variety in this, right?
Yeah.
So this movie, this short... I don't even want to publish.
I was thinking, this must be the equivalent of what a novella is. Because my kids will ask me, like, what's a novella, what's a short story? And I'm like, take a fucking pick. I'm like, I Googled it and it says yes. Then I'm like, then do what Google says. Like, there's no actual, like, distinction. You got to just kind of feel it.
Yes.
So this is a novella.
Basically,
yes.
Right? So, I think technically speaking, by theater standard, it is considered, I think, a short film.
Yeah.
And it just follows a dude who's a werewolf.
Yeah.
He is trying to do some shit.
He's trying to do some shit.
He's trying to save a homie.
Yeah, Ted.
There's a bunch of other weirdos in the room, and
some cool weirdos in the room.
Yeah. And shenanigans happen. I think that's as easy as you can go with this. I would say there's not, as far as like MCU stuff goes, this is probably the most low key cast in a long time.
Yes, I don't know any of these names for the most part.
As a Mexican, I am
You know Gael.
I am by law required to know Gael Garcia right now. I have no idea who the hell Laura Donnelly is. I think David Silverman sounds familiar.
Does sound familiar. So does to me Daniel J. Watts.
Who?
Barrasso.
Oh, Daniel J. Watts?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, I think it has a pretty interesting concept.
Pretty interesting concept.
Right? I am down for a yearly Halloween Marvel special.
It is a nice middle finger to all the Marvel fatigue people.
Yes.
And it doesn't feel. You could have taken the Marvel branding off, and I would have been like, oh, this is a Marvel movie, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have all the trimmings of a normal Marvel movie. Mm-hmm. So that was nice.
That was very nice.
And it just kind of shows the capacity for what this studio and what this genre can still do.
Yeah. Yes. And also the thing that I like is that even though it is MCU proper, it has zero ties to anything else.
Yeah, there's that little shot of like the Avengers earlier in like
and that's just to solidify that yes, this is taking place
here
in the same connective universe, but this story is, I would say, 100% standalone.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm assuming this is where they're going with like the Midnight Sun stuff. Characters like Moon Knight will probably be tying into this. Characters like possibly Daredevil could be tying into this. And Blade is for sure tying into this. Black Knight.
Yeah.
But I think as far as an introduction to this proper like side of the MCU is very standalone.
And here's the thing, I don't need to see Jack Russell again. I'm sure they could do it again, and I'm sure they could pleasantly surprise me. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't like need to have follow up with this character. Like if this was the last time I saw him, I'd be like,
you'd be okay.
Great.
Yeah, I would like to see more. I don't need. I think that's what you mean, right? You don't need to.
Yeah.
But if this is it, this is it.
Yep.
I would like to see Elsa more.
Yeah.
I thought she was a really cool character. There were for plot purposes, right? So this guy dies. Mm-hmm. They gather a posse of like monster hunters, which again, first introduction of anything like this in the MCU proper. And they are basically fighting a monster trying to grab the Bloodstone, which is some MacGuffin that Lord knows does what.
And now I was like, is this going to be the ether before the ether? Because it's
I thought about that too, but it's its own thing.
And I was like, maybe like that's the reality. And then I was like, oh, it kind of looks like Scarlet Witchy Red too, but it's not that. But yes, it is its own thing.
Mm-hmm. It's leading into that supernatural aspect, which is what Midnight Suns usually deals with, right? So I enjoy the tonal shift in this compared to what we've had in a lot of Phase 4 of the MCU.
Except Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So
the best.
I still, I recently watched it again.
I love it.
I watched it because some YouTubers did a commentary track on it, so you watch the movie while they watch it, sync it up, and whatever, right? And I was saying, I was like, man, this movie's so fucking good.
It is so fucking good.
So fucking good.
Yeah.
And this movie gave me a lot of those vibes, but I think also a little bit more tight.
More tight. Very, as someone who has not seen a full-length Universal horror film, very emblematic of that genre. Where like there were just certain shots and like certain framings of things. The type of scary that this is. Where it's not a slasher, it's not a gore fest, it's not a psychological thriller. This is its own distinct type of scary.
It's more like whimsical, without being silly.
And yet it's still kind of scary, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I was like, oh, like this is what all the hype was about back in 1899.
Back in the 1940s.
Yeah.
And that So I don't know if you saw Cosmonaut Marcus did a review on this.
No, I didn't see that yet.
He was like, the thing that annoyed, he said that it annoyed him that this movie did not look like it was shot on film. And I was like, well, no, it's shot on digital.
Right.
But it's emulating that style
that
you would get in those old monster movies that were shot on film.
Yeah.
And to expect for this to look 100% like it's not shot on film and it's not, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you can still get that sensation and that feeling of it. I like the twist on this, which is very early on, that our main guy is not really here for the Bloodstone.
Mm-hmm.
He's more interested in, he doesn't want to fight anyone.
Nope.
He kind of right off the bat he says, I don't want to fight you. He runs away from conflict.
Yeah.
And he's there to save
Ted.
To save Ted, who's the man thing.
Yeah.
Right. Another obscure ass character that
is it a Cthulhu type thing?
It's kind of an eldritch horror type of monster, who like is usually kind of good, but also like will fuck you up if you have like evil intent or if you can sense like your fear.
Yeah.
That type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's that existential shit that usually you see in like eldritch whatever, right? And I like that dynamic. It I know I'm not the first to say it, but it's got like a very Chewbacca and Han feeling to it.
Interesting.
Where like he's like his friend.
Yeah.
Right? And he talks to him and he understands what the fuck he's saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck did this guy
just
run to you?
Saying? Yeah.
And I also like the chemistry between Jack and Elsa.
Yes.
It felt, for such a short runtime, it feels believable that they come out of this like with some sort of like,
because they're both outsiders.
They're both outsiders, right? She's kind of been ostracized by the group.
Right.
She seems like she wasn't happy. I'm assuming there's some daddy issues going on.
And the group would more than ostracise him if they found out what he was.
And they do.
Yep.
They do, right? Yeah. So the first half of this is spent in the maze, tracking this monster.
Cool looking maze, by the way.
Very cool. And
I was like, why isn't this a Halo map? It's kind of built like a Halo map.
It gave me big Resident Evil 4 vibes. Yeah. There's a set piece in that game where it's all in like a hedge maze.
Yeah. And
as you're going through it, like zombie dogs will jump out and like fuck your shit up.
That's cool.
So it gave me a lot of those vibes.
Yeah.
And I honestly for a while was like, where are we going with this? Like, is this going to just all be here? And it's really set in like, it's almost like a story in two arcs, right? Arc 1 is the maze.
And Arc 2 is the werewolf.
Or Act 2, is like the actual werewolf fucking shit up, right? So when they capture him and put him in the cage, I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're ending things, right?
LOL at the sniffing scene.
That was great.
Hilarious.
That was really funny, and it makes sense in a way.
Here's the thing, 2 million viewers.
Sure.
I do that shit.
What?
That's like a dumb flirty thing I do, where I'll just like I will randomly take Rose's arm.
Well, now you can tell her that it's because you're trying to sniff her and because you're trying to tell her.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to disembowel her.
I can't remember. I was like kind of falling asleep last night as we were talking on the phone, but I can't remember if I was talking about that. But I may have. But yeah, it's I laughed out loud.
I know, it's like, this me.
It's me. Exactly.
Me.
Yeah.
But it is, right? It's like in those werewolf movies, there's always the shot of the girl who's like, no, Paul, it's me. Yeah. And he's like, maybe it is, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it does make sense, and it also shows that he doesn't want to hurt people. He doesn't want to hurt anyone unless he absolutely has to.
Right.
I think he does kind of say that a few times.
I like that he just like wrecks shit as soon as.
Dude, he fucks shit up.
Like once he's out of the cage, the other side never has like.
Not a fucking chance.
Yeah.
The funny thing was, I was curious watching this how much they would show of the transformation. I knew they were gonna have to show him at some point, right? You can't have a character turn into a werewolf in a horror-ish, skewing thing, and not show him. But a lot of like the big set piece portion of like a werewolf movie is showing the transformation.
Yeah.
And in this one, they didn't show him actually turning. They showed a hand.
You don't even see him until like about halfway through
that scene.
The killing, yeah.
And you do see him transform, but it's all in like
silhouette,
lightnings, like flashes, and against the wall, which I thought was really cool because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You don't have to film and then animate, and then right now this whole Marvel being in hot water for their exactly right. Yep. So I thought this was a really good way. It leaves more, I think, to the imagination.
It does, and I think it also helps. It helps you sell the fact that you are actually doing the classic Wolfman as the design of the monster. Like I'm not super familiar with the comics. I got a glimpse at the cover. I'm like, oh, that kind of looks like the Wolfman. I think, like it doesn't look like Remus Lupin, where it's like
a wolf.
Yeah,
right?
Like it's the opposite of our experiences in the 2000s, where you first saw werewolves and like Underworld and Harry Potter.
I fucking love those movies though.
and then you're like, oh, like they actually fucking look like wolves, not that stupid ass design. And now I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, like it looks like the stupid ass design, not like fucking wolves. Like this is awesome. So yeah, that's cool too.
Yeah, and I really do dig his look, right? Because he's much less dog looking.
Yeah.
Because you have two extremes.
Right.
Right? Like
in Twilight, aren't they just
they're just big fucking wolves. They're essentially Game of Thrones direwolves.
Yeah.
Like just big fucking dogs.
Yeah.
But then you have
the man-wolf.
Which I think is this.
Yeah.
And then you have more of like the dog
the
skewing
Underworld,
one.
Skyrim. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And I don't think we've seen a werewolf like this in a while.
No.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I'm having a really hard time.
Because it does look stupid. Like if you think about it, it does look stupid.
It looks silly.
Yeah.
But I think for the purposes of this, it works.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to be able to showcase your character.
Yeah.
You want it to look distinct from everything else that's out there.
Well, and then the movie with the flaming tuba and the giant Viking-looking guy dual-wielding an axe and like a smaller axe.
Dude, that flaming tuba was so fucking cool.
I loved it.
I don't understand why, like, my monkey brain was, like, so into this.
And I don't know how and why having the Wolfman design amps up, like, this brand of horror. Maybe it's just because it's an allusion to, like, the original Wolfman movie, but
sure.
To me, this movie wouldn't have been as scary if it was a better looking werewolf. Do you get what I'm saying?
Have you seen? So the show came out in like that same weekend. Disney, they revealed the character at the Avengers campus in California.
Oh yeah, I did.
And like. He's like up there on the thing. And people are like, he's kind of hot. And I was like, well,
the furries have struck
again. The furries have struck again.
They won.
But it's the thing about it. It's more the memorableness, I think.
Yeah.
It stands out.
Yeah.
Like if it looked like an Underworld.
Yeah.
Like if it looked like the Wolfman from the 2007 or whatever, like 2011 maybe, Wolfman movie that came out. Like, it looks generic by today's standards.
Yeah.
You need something that, even though it's
stupid,
an old concept and it's a little silly,
yeah,
it's kind of cool to see him just like, it's just basically like a giant man with a lot of hair.
Yeah.
And like his head is framed with fur.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's some sort of that, like... So I also saw the first episode of Midnight Club last night, right?
Ooh, yes.
And it opens with, the main character in that show talking about Frankenstein and how impressive...
Oh, Shelley.
Mary Shelley. And how impressive that novel was. And there's something cool and scary about that early science fiction brand of horror, right? Which this definitely feels like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it's
secret knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it feels a little bit more organic than like totally supernatural. Right?
Yeah, and it doesn't like eviscerate you when you watch.
Yeah.
Right. It's not Hereditary. It's not Smile.
I love how we can't go a recording without mentioning Hereditary.
It's a great movie.
Such a good fucking movie. What do you think about his the way they design the characters for the black and white?
Cool. I mean the costumes. You had talked about this, like the time period is not like super clear.
I honestly, right? I still don't know.
You just know it's not whenever those grave years are.
Oh, for sure.
You're like, okay, it's not here, but like you still don't like really know when it is. It was nice. It felt like watching Bela Lugosi Dracula, or like yeah.
I really like the way they made Jack look in his introduction, because he's wearing like a makeup.
Yeah.
Right. He's got like the dark around the eyes. He looks kind of like a sugar skull almost.
It almost looks a little Wakandan, some of that face paint, right?
So it reminds me of Shuri's dots on her forehead that she wears.
And in that sense, they do kind of feel like Marvel characters, right? Just by a little bit of the aesthetic.
Which is funny to think just how simple that is to make it feel still connected.
Elsa still kind of looks like Jessica Jones.
She does.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's something about the way black and white works, where your mind is kind of checked out as far as color goes.
Yeah.
Not once did I consider, her fucking jacket's bright red.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's wearing a brown jacket.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I just moved on to my merry way.
Yeah.
And then at the end when they show, that was a nice effect too.
When it changes to
color.
When
everything is done,
right,
it changes to color. And I think that also works to kind of jumble you up and when the fuck is this taking place?
That, and I do, so I think, as dark and non-Christian these a lot of these Disney these recent Marvel things have been like She-Hulk. Last episode involves revenge porn on screen. Shit. And you're like, oh, this is a Disney property, right? I do think regardless of how deep Disney goes into that angle, they will always have to give something like a touch of the Disney ending. If nothing else, maybe that means and everything was all right in the end, right? And that's fine.
It's a very cutesy ending, having them sitting by a campfire drinking coffee and making jokes, right?
And I think that's what kind of makes it feel part of the greater universe, without feeling just like a generic Marvel thing that's been regurgitated out, right? It feels on brand.
Yeah. I think the closest it's gotten to not so much of that was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that movie ends. And it tries to end on what feels like uplifting.
Right.
But I mean, this is still a dude that's essentially lost everything.
Well, and that's also the non-Disney movie.
But it's still.
But it is. But it's interesting that the one that we picked that feels less like that is the one that's also.
Fair. Yeah. I think the biggest tell on this is going to be how they do Daredevil in his own show.
Yeah.
Because if you watch Daredevil, almost every one of his seasons, yes, it ends with a resolution. Yeah. But some of it is
it's dark.
This is not. Yeah. This is not okay overall.
Well, then that's why that was relegated to the Netflix verse.
So I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm curious as to how that if they're willing to go, and this is a good step. Right, we talked during our Smile section that this gets away with a lot.
Werewolf by Night.
There are arms flying,
Yeah.
There's blood going everywhere.
So with the axe, that chops off something. The scene where he's tearing...
The guy gets fucking shot.
Yeah.
Through, like, the bottom of the jaw.
With the hand crossbow?
With the hand crossbow, which I was like... Yeah. Fucking D&D shit right there.
There's the... the werewolf's tearing shit up, there's...
Yeah, so probably, like, the fucking Jack grabs a guy's side and just, like, rips it. You can see, like, the rips and shit. Yeah.
And there's a scene where... I forget what else is obscuring the camera, but, like, you got the gray goo, which is coming on screen. And you're like, oh, that's blood, but it's black and white.
Oh, yeah, it's like, he's just, like, tearing shit. It's, like, splashing the camera, right?
And that was really cool.
And I was like, to your point of what can you get away with, that is how a lot of creatives get away with their violence. Yeah. It's the reason why things like in Predator, the Predator's blood is a different color sometimes. Yeah. Different shows where an enemy maybe has like black blood as opposed to having red blood. And it's like such a stupid thing because you're like, it's still blood. It's still blood. Right. It's just a different color. Yeah. Like, but now it's black and white. Yeah. I can't remember. There was another movie where like they had to change someone's blood color to like blue or something.
I don't remember, but Halo does that.
Halo does that kind of shit, right? Yeah. And it just, it's amazing what you can get away with because they even asked the director like, well, how do you get away with this? He was like, I just kept asking for, can I do this and do this and do this, and ain't nobody said no. Yeah. And I think it's because they knew damn well that this was going to be in black and white. Yeah.
That helps.
It helps. Yeah. It does so much heavy lifting. Yeah. I don't know. It also looks really cool.
It looks really cool. It's definitely something, and there's not so much to spoil, even though we've already talked about like the plot, but it's also definitely something I would say, just go into it with zero expectation and as little knowledge as you can, because I think that's what's going to amp the ride up the most. Which you could say for any film, right? But I think this one especially is really fun to go through blind.
And I think the best thing about this one is you can watch this with the biggest detractor I think for a lot of newcomers to Marvel is you feel like I don't know what's going on. Yeah. You can show this to anyone. And I think they'll have a good time. Yeah. It's fun. It's zero commitment.
Exactly.
50 minutes.
That's what's beautiful.
If you love it, cool. Yeah. You don't have to watch anything else. Yeah. If you hate it, it's over. Guess what? 50 minutes. Not even an hour. Yeah. You've lost an hour in traffic.
Exactly.
And at least this, you get to watch a good-looking guy and a hot girl. Yeah. Do wolfy shit.
Kick some ass.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
No, I really liked it.
Very good.
I didn't rate this movie, and I don't know what I would rate this movie. I think that's my biggest challenge. I don't know. To me, this movie doesn't feel easily rateable.
I haven't rated it either. Yeah. I probably should. I mean, it's really good.
It is good.
It's really good. I would probably put this up there with the better stuff that I've seen this year.
Maybe.
It's so standalone that I think it's just like...
It's a very pleasant surprise.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very pleasant surprise.
Very good. Yeah. Very good, very good. Okie dokie, everybody. Well, we have 2 short episodes today. Which is good.
2 short episodes, but 2 good episodes.
Very good episodes. Yeah. So, until next time, which probably will be...
I think we still have to decide what we're going to watch.
What else is there to watch?
We could do Winnie the Pooh.
Well, it's just Halloween Ends comes out this weekend.
Halloween Ends comes out. It's a busy as fuck October.
Dude, this year, I feel like has been... Like last year we had jack shit. In 2020 we also had jack shit. Right. But I feel like 2022 is a year where it finally feels like it's all catching up.
Yes.
And goddamn.
Movies and social events.
Exhausting.
I have something every weekend this weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I have like double up on things sometimes where I'm gonna have to cancel one thing for another. It's bonkers.
Bonkers indeed.
All right, so yeah, we'll probably be either the Winnie the Pooh movie or, which I never thought I would say that sentence, by the way, or Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Which I am hearing.
Oh no.
Oh no, indeed.
Oh no. So, I saw your face.
So yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, I can't get worse. I'm telling myself than
the
Evil
last
Dies
one.
Tonight.
You know what? I enjoy making hate reviews, so I'll be here for it. I'll be here for it.
That could be the positive silver lining, right?
Yeah.
And everybody, until next time, he is Nano.
He's Javier.
And this has been the Cine-Scoots podcast.
Bye.